And welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. We are here with part 3 of the rookie running backs, aka the tiers we're not nearly as excited about. I am at Nick Sparts. To my left, rocking his Chicago Cubs gear, is Christopher Hopper.
What is up, guys? How are you doing? This is not going to be an exciting episode.
And across the table from me, with the Supernatural Big Baits hat and the original T-shirt for Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, is Dan Thury.
At Thury BFF, I will try my hardest not to fall asleep.
And Supernatural Big Bait. He's got some of that, too.
Yep. Soon.
No free sponsors.
So, as always, at BeerFieldFF on Twitter, if you want to follow us there. We've been having some fun doing draft crush questions and other things on Twitter this week, so keep an eye out for that content if you do follow us on Twitter. Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, if you want to see us live on YouTube, or recorded on YouTube, I suppose. Not live.
We will be live for draft night, though. It's not too early to start pumping that, is it?
Absolutely not.
I cannot fucking wait for that.
A little under 3 weeks away?
A little under.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's it'll be 2.5 weeks when this posts. We'll be live on draft night. We'll play a drinking game where we try to guess each draft pick, and we'll get hammered on air.
We'll be giving our analysis like last year, so if you want to come hang out, hit us up on YouTube. There will not be a simulcast of the NFL draft. That was a popular question last year if we do picture-in-picture. There's this thing called copyright, and I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, I think the NFL Network or ESPN may come for us if we try to pull
yeah,
that move.
But if you listen and you want our takes, it'll be there.
Yep, so just throwing it on your TV, get the NFL draft on, throw on YouTube on your computer, and just watch us both at the same time. And then you can mute Mike Mayock if you don't want to listen to him ramble about shit.
Indeed, you can listen to us ramble about shit.
You can just mute anything that's not us.
That's right.
I promise ours will be more fun. It may not be more accurate, but it'll be more fun.
It might actually
be more accurate.
They won't be as drunk as us, I will tell you that much.
And then I think it was Top 2 Sports said they want to have us on after the draft to do like a post-draft 15-minute take of just the of it. So I said we're going to be really drunk.
Are they sure?
Yeah, I said we're going to be hammered. And they're like, that's fine. We're going to be drinking bourbon. So I'm like,
oh, they might be worse off than us.
You never know. I might be doing that also.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't stick to beer during the draft.
So if you want a drunk and shit show recap of the draft with...
I got 3 bottles of good bourbon and a bottle of good rum. We'll just see how the night goes.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. So check us out on draft night. Let's hit up a beer preview. Beer Fuel. And we've got Blonde Jewel by 4204 Main Street Brewing out of Bellevue, Illinois. 4th time for them on the podcast, which I believe is tied for the most.
Is it 4th?
Belleville?
Belleville. Did I say Bellevue? Sorry.
You sure did.
There is a Bellevue, Illinois, too, isn't there?
I think so. It's at least the 3rd because we did the salted caramel pecan and off duty zombie killer. It is the 4th.
Oh wow!
No, not zombie killer. It was a zombie lager.
Zombie lager. That's what it was. Yes, that was the first one we did. Mm-hmm. It is the 4th. Really cool guys though. We've had the pleasure of meeting some people that do this that are affiliated with this brewery.
I'm pretty sure it was the owner and the owner's wife.
I think it was too. They hooked us up with off duty, so we got them on again though with Blonde Jewel. It's one of the variant of this. I'll talk about the others in the review though.
Time for some news.
News.
Something like that.
Walk like an Egyptian.
I don't dance.
Yeah, if you drink enough, you do.
Fair.
Rams acquire wide receiver Brandin Cooks and a 4th-round pick from the Patriots in exchange for a 1st and 6th-round pick. So back-to-back seasons, Brandin Cooks gets shipped off for a 1st-rounder.
So he showed last year in New England that he can be more than a deep threat. However, if you follow me on Twitter, you already know, at HotBFF with 2 P's, you already know my take on this, is that he's just going to go live in obscurity like Sammy Watkins did.
Yeah, I mean, he left New Orleans wanting more targets. He had 120, I think, his last year with New Orleans. He wanted wide receiver 1 type of targets, which is wide receiver 1 type of targets. He goes to New England, gets around 100, right? Or so targets there, and now he's going to go into an offense to take over for Sammy Watkins, who had 70-ish targets.
I was going to say where he might get 70.
Yeah, where Goff, who likes to throw short and the intermediate range with 2 receivers he's very comfortable with, while Cooks is a better, I think, deep threat than Watkins is, at least pushing vertically. I don't really see this being huge for Cooks.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a better NFL situation than it will be actual fantasy production. He's good enough that I still expect he'll probably be a mid to low wide receiver 2. And when he does get a deep target here or there, he can blow up and give you those 20-plus point games. It's just going to be a lot of ugly ones to go along with it. So it's going to be normal Brandin Cooks, just even more painful.
Who's worth buying here?
Cup.
What do you guys think?
I mean, Kupp is the obvious answer. Well, I think actually the best answer is just Goff.
Goff. Yeah.
Yes.
Goff is a good answer. If you're going to throw your money on wide receiver, it's Kupp, then Woods, then Cooks for me.
Yeah.
I got Woods because I think his value is going to take a deeper hit than Kupp's is at this point with this move.
Now, with the move, I'd probably kick the tires on all three and see if anyone panics from the trade and sell somebody cheaper than they should.
Cooks is probably a decent buy low after the first couple of weeks where...
Or unless he gets hyped up.
Yeah. I mean, or if he
talking-
starts
No,
out
I'm
hot.
saying kick the tires now after
Yeah.
the
Well,
trade
yeah.
and see if somebody panics and sells him for cheaper.
Because
than
this
they
is
should.
still a run-first type of offense. You still have
With
the
a
number
good
one
defense.
running back coming back. You got a defense and a team that just is going all in this year.
A lot of target people.
Yeah, there's it's gonna be very interesting to see how
Like
this
they
plays
just
out.
went and ran all the employees out there. Lots of target people.
So that's the big news of the week. Definitely a bit of a surprise, and it looks like New England may be looking to try to trade up and take a quarterback of their choice in this draft.
How smart were they? I mean, they traded the 32 pick last year for Cooks, and they got the 23rd pick this year for him.
Can we not stroke them, please?
I mean, I hate them as much as anyone
ESPN
else
does it enough for all of us.
It just makes
We
me
don't need to
upset.
talk about them anymore. How good they are. All right. Redskins acquire Kevin Hogan from the Browns for a 2018 sixth-round pick. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Alex Smith insurance?
I think it's Colt McCoy
It's
insurance.
Colt McCoy insurance.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Lions signed quarterback Matt Castle, who is somehow still in the league.
Chargers signed Geno
This is
Smith.
what we have for news right now.
Chargers signed Geno Smith.
Yep, Chargers signed Geno Smith.
We're just going to go through the whole line.
I'll stop you when I have something to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
This next one.
Patriots signed wide receiver Jordan Matthews, formerly of the Bills, to a one-year contract right after they shipped out Brandin Cooks.
Now, this is interesting because I think Matthews is probably a better fit for this offense than what Cooks was or is, especially at this point. And you're going to have a lot of underneath targets with him, with Edelman coming back. But I like Jordan Matthews here. Now, he is a wide receiver in the Patriots offense. They spread the ball around. So his upside is probably wide receiver 2.
Yeah, that'd be the best he'd probably do.
Yeah, that's absolute best. More realistically, probably a mid to low 3 just because of how they spread the ball around. But ultimately, it's good for them. He fits it, and it's good for his value.
Yeah, he should be a safe play. It was a one-year deal, so if he has a solid year and can kind of bounce back and get his name with a little bit more oomph to it, he might be able to go find himself a better situation
Get some
next year.
respect on his name.
Yeah. I really wanted him to land in New Orleans. We'll talk about who actually looks like they're going to land there in a moment, but
Yikes.
I was hoping Matthews would land there. Andrew Slater of Wins reports felony charges against Robbie Anderson have been dropped.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I have no idea how, but good for them.
Yeah, he looked like he was probably going to be second place in our running for the Golden Handcuff Awards.
He might have just dodged that.
He might have dodged it. I still think Zay Jones is the front runner.
Yeah, now because he just went in. Robbie Anderson went out and said this is ridiculous. Like he was gonna. We're not a PG show, right?
Mm-mm.
He told a police officer he was gonna fuck his wife.
Yep, among other things.
Amongst other things. He gets charges dropped. So plus Zay Jones is just like, here, hold my beer, watch this shit.
Yeah.
Although
You got Michael Bennett, who's, did some shit at the Super Bowl.
Technically didn't happen this offseason.
I mean, I don't want to give
Yeah.
Michael.
The charges came, but the
Yeah, no.
offense was a few
And
years
Michael
ago.
Bennett is not worthy of this prestigious award.
How dare you sell him the name of Aaron Hernandez with Michael Bennett?
Yes.
All right. Jets signed tight end Bucky Hodges, mostly including him because Dan loved him last year.
This is
You liked
actually
him, I thought.
relatively intriguing for me because the Jets are just like hoarding pieces. They're throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks.
They have no tight ends there.
Just bring in all the upside guys and hope something works.
Oh, they got Leggett too.
Yeah, and they signed Clive Wolford, who is a blocking tight end.
Yeah, but Leggett,
If I don't know his name, he probably is a blocking tight end.
Leggett and Hodges were both really intriguing pieces coming out of last year's draft. And with tight ends like that, we know that they don't typically produce year one. So those guys may still end up being something. Hodges was a real big body guy. I think we liked his ball skills a decent amount.
I mean, he was a pure move tight end.
He definitely was, but they need one.
He was a receiver. Yeah, he was a receiver in college. That guy, saw himself get converted into tight end. And
interesting guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, this is already his fourth team though, so not
Is it really?
super high expectations.
Really?
I thought he was just
I
the
thought he was
Vikings
just-
to the
what was
Jets.
Minnesota?
Vikings, Carolina.
Of course, Carolina Vikings would take him.
I think he was in Buffalo for a bit. Now here, he was all over the place last year.
So he's like
Malachi Dupree?
Even
I
more
would
than
say-
that. Dupree was only on 2 teams.
J.D. Cannon, right?
Katie Cannon.
Or,
Yeah, but Katie Cannon got cut 3 times before the season ever started.
Yeah, he was going for a record.
Fuck it all.
Eagles signed tight end Richard Rodgers to a 1-year contract. He will back up Ertz.
Makes sense. I mean, he showed some pass catching ability. He's kind of more of a block tight end also, which fills the need for Selleck.
Yeah, it's a Selleck replacement and your emergency tight end if Ertz
Yeah,
gets
I think
hurt.
I think he's more of a Selleck replacement than a Burton replacement.
And then lastly, Broncos signed punter Marquette King, formerly of the Raiders, to a 3-year, $7 million contract. So the AFC West continues to see dancing.
Good news for his revenge game against the Raiders will be my favorite. If you're in a punter league, first off, DM me because I want to be in a punter league. And second off,
Hashtag leg league.
get him.
All right. That's all I got for news. I'm sorry. Cam Meredith got an offer sheet from the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, the Bears really bungled this one. They could have given him a second-round tender for about $1 million more and not had anybody offer him, and they didn't. So he got offered, and we'll see what happens if they come out and match it like they did Fuller, or if he just goes to New Orleans. And if he goes to in either position, I still like him as a high-end wide receiver 3.
What was the offer sheet? It was like 11.
I think it was 2 years, $10 million.
Yeah, so it was about five a year with like $6 million guaranteed or something.
Yeah.
I think they probably do match.
I think they do too, and I think that they would be smart to because they don't need to rely on Kevin White. If not, it immediately puts them back into the running for some of the wide receivers we're going to talk about come draft day.
Yeah, probably our second episode of receivers more than the first.
Yeah, they won't spend an early pick, but they could be rounds 3, 4, 5 looking there.
And then though if he does land in New Orleans from a fantasy perspective, that's awesome.
So much fun.
I think he's good in both places, but it is awesome in New Orleans because they need a secondary guy, and it helps Michael Thomas too.
Yeah, they desperately need a good, reliable second receiver. It can't be the corpse of Willie Snead and Brandon Coleman.
Yeah.
And Ted Ginn being the actual best for second receiver they have.
Makes me shudder.
All right, now let's move on to tier 6.
That one.
Draft preview.
I just cleared the free agent button. That way I'm not tempted to hit it like I did last week and almost just did again.
Good organization. Well done.
Thanks.
Showing organization for once.
I try.
Me do try here.
The show does not do organization well.
No, not in the least bit.
All right.
Okay.
For tier 6, these are guys who we saw enough that were like, there might be something there, but we really don't like them that much. So they come in a 6.5 or lower, which is kind of the bottom of the okay backs.
These are very, very much either A, really deep league guys, or B, I've got roster spots after my rookie draft. Let me go pick some guys up that we're going to try to direct you on.
So the first one we've got on the list is Ryan Nall. He's a running back out of Oregon State. Absolutely a massive, just built back. He was actually a lot of fun to watch when he was running guys over. I was the one who liked him the most. He comes in at 6'2", 232. Ran a 4.58 40. I had him ranked at a 6'9", so I actually had him in the tier above this. You guys ranked him lower. What were your issues with his game that brought him down here?
It's just when I look at him as an NFL back, he's not. I think you mentioned that he's kind of like a diesel truck. He has to warm up or whatever. He runs like a cold diesel, and that's true. So to me, it was just kind of struggling to see what his fit is from a fantasy relevant standpoint. I think from an NFL standpoint, he has a position as a possible big short yardage back that he could stick someplace. But when I asked myself if he was ever going to be that fantasy relevant, I just didn't see it. He's not going to be a workhorse, and I don't even think he's going to be a 2-down back just because I don't think he has the quickness to get to the edge. So he's 6'2", 232. So with plus vision, he's a hard runner. He's got size with some surprising agility. But ultimately, I just don't know what he's going to function as in the NFL.
You have reports of him. There's people out there that think he'll play halfback or I'm sorry, H-back or fullback with maybe a tight end. So maybe he could be like a Kyle Juszczyk. He's got decent hands out of the backfield.
He had excellent hands. He was a great receiver.
Yeah, this is a guy where I don't see a lot of fantasy relevance for him, but he may end up becoming one of the better NFL fullbacks if he makes that transition.
Yeah, I thought he was one of the best receiving backs in this class, especially for a back of his size. Outside of Barkley, you didn't see a lot of the really big backs be great pass catchers in this class. So the fact that he is a good pass catcher, he's that big, he is super strong on film too.
Yep.
I can definitely see a way that an NFL team can find a role for him as a third down, short yardage with possibility of him shifting out and being a pass catcher, which may get him into moderate fantasy relevance. I don't love him, but I saw more from him than I saw from some of the other guys in this same
There's
tier.
some upside to him if you can get on a team that wants to use him as a pass catcher out of the backfield. We even seen a guy like Kyle Juszczyk, I just mentioned, have some fantasy relevance as a guy who just takes a bunch of touchdowns away from guys.
Yep.
Your next John Kuhn, maybe.
Yeah, a better pass catching John Kuhn.
Yeah.
All right.
Fucking John Kuhn.
On to Josh Adams, who I liked significantly less, and the show was kind of just met on. This guy, we've got so many questions when we put out our running back rankings for our top 20s, and they're like, where's Josh Adams? Why isn't he on your top 20? Because it just was not very good tape from him. And none of the metric profiles looked that good either.
Yeah, and he's got injury concerns aplenty. Actually, his combine wasn't terrible. He popped off a 4.4840 and a 6.753 count. He's got 200 carry season though. I mean, 2 seasons over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. He's a big, strong back, good downhill runner, but he lacks agility. Even though his 3-cone was good, that never showed up on his tape. He was hurt a lot and just not a ton of receiving work. He caught 41 balls, but subpar blocker. He just is a guy that, to me, fits more of a dart throw than somebody I want to really invest anything in.
Well, and just a note, too, those were not combine numbers. Those were
Pro Day. Sorry. Yeah, because he didn't do much with the combine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. I forgot that I had to pull his Pro Day numbers, just what I had written down. But, yeah, either way, even though he athletically profiles okay and he had college production, just the injury concerns and what his tape looked like, it didn't back up some of the other stuff.
Yeah, he was kind of a one cut and go and hope he found an open lane type runner.
Yeah, I put my comp to, I think we talked about this, Nick, is Latavius Murray, a guy, a bigger back who could see some work.
And he's
as
not
a
even
pass.
that big. He's only 215.
Well, he's what, 6'1"?
Yeah, he's tall.
He's a taller back. Well, we can go with that. And he had one of the best offensive lines in football. Or in college football.
Yeah,
and
Henderson is going to get top 5 pick as a guard.
Yeah. And they have very good tackles.
Yeah, I think one of the tackles will also be a first rounder. So,
yep.
Yeah, he had one of the best offensive lines in football. They basically had no passing game, so he was the show, and his tape still was pretty mediocre. There was a few times that he had big runs, but it was always the offensive line just cleared a lane for him to run straight to the end zone.
Yep.
So, yeah, he was a name that I was excited to watch his tape and then saw it and just met out of there. Next up, we've got a guy who we decided to put in running backs, but he could have also gone in tight ends or maybe even receiver, and that's Jaylen Samuels. Another guy people were harassing us like, hey, why isn't he in your top 20? And I think my answer on that, I assume you guys are probably pretty similar, I just don't know how NFL teams are going to use him in a way that is fantasy relevant.
That's exactly what my issue is with him. I mean, when you look at his athletic profile, he's pretty much Royce Freeman from what his combine was. He's got 201 career receptions, so he can definitely catch. But you look at other guys that, 1,500 receiving yards, 200 receptions, 1,000 rush yards at the college level. It's Tavon Austin, DJ Foster, Charles Sims. Not exactly a whole lot of confidence there for NFL productivity.
Nope.
Last year's draft theme, though, was versatility. He does check that box, but I just don't know what his role is going to be, how he's going to fit. He's a guy that I think is going to be a great NFL player, but not necessarily somebody I want to invest in fantasy.
He's going to have to land at a team that's going to want to be, that's going to have to build this scheme, build, 2 or 3 plays around him. I mean, he's too small to play tight end, I think. but he doesn't run like he runs like a receiver
That
after he catches the ball. I mean, he doesn't look quick on his cuts or anything like that.
was exactly my take on him. Is he was a tight end. He doesn't know what he wants to be when he grows up. He was a tight end in college. That his play style reminds me more of a wide receiver, but he's coming out as a running back.
Yeah, and his build
His build is a running back. So, yeah, I think that he's maybe best served dropping about 10 pounds and playing as a wide receiver, just because I think that's what his skill set matched most to me.
As a slot receiver, that's where
as a slot receiver.
As a slot receiver.
Yeah, a slot receiver who can occasionally shift into the backfield.
He's going to be a gadget guy, but not your typical gadget guy.
Yeah. For me to like him, he'd have to land somewhere that is just completely devoid of other offensive weapons. So, like, if he ended up in
And even then,
Carolina, where there's only 2 other guys worth a damn or something, where you're like, hey, I know he's going to get work, but that's about it.
he can be matched up with the other receiver running back coming out of that class last year.
Yeah,
Like
I prefer Samuels over Curtis, or Jaylen over Curtis, though.
So
yeah, he's sized well, but I didn't see anything else on tape outside of his receiving ability that I really loved.
No, I didn't either.
So yeah, and I think this is about the point where I run out of guys I like.
Yeah, there's a couple coming up that I could say maybe if you can grab them as free agents do it. There's 2 more. But
All right. Jarvan Franklin up next out of Western Michigan. He's a guy I saw a lot of hype out of some other podcasts or sites, but I just didn't see a lot of top-end speed or agility with him. He was an okay receiving back.
he had 56 career touchdowns in 3 seasons over 1,200 scrimmage yards and 3 over 200 carries, which I think is why he's getting a lot of hype.
Good production.
lot of
It is
production.
good production, and I think I'm just going to assume, and I don't want to knock anybody, but I'm just going to assume that we're one of the few that watch, 3 to 4 games on 100 and some odd plus players.
Yeah, we might be some of the outside of the people who do this for a full-time job,
Right.
probably.
yeah,
Right. So, but his productivity is why he's getting hype, but his athletic profile, there are 3 NFL guys that have similar combine numbers to him: Peyton Barber, Stephen Ridley, and Matt Asiata. So this is not good there. He's a big back. He runs like a big back. He can mostly pushes piles, though, and runs through people, which isn't going to play at the NFL. He's got okay burst out of the backfield, and he can catch footballs, but he couldn't block a runny nose if he were at Kleenex, and he really just doesn't have any elite traits that really jump off the page at you. So he's a guy that might stick someplace. You want to talk Corey Clement comparisons, guys that were productive but didn't show a lot on tape? Maybe. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bank on it.
And I liked Clement last year more than I liked Franklin this year.
I don't even remember Franklin's tape that much.
He's
that
kinda-
was one of my notes. I was like,
He's kind of like
I'm
Coleman.
not gonna remember his tape.
Yeah, and just the 4.63 40, a 30-inch
Oof.
vertical, under almost a 9 foot, just barely over a 9 foot broad jump. Those are just terrible athletic numbers. I think a lot of it too is he was beaten up on weaker competition, and he was on some really, really good Western Michigan teams.
Yeah.
He was running with Corey Davis, kind of cleaning up boxes for him. So I think he's probably a guy who will fall in the draft, and then people will temper their expectations on him.
As they should. And he won't end up in a prime landing spot either, I don't think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. All right, up next, Rock Thomas out of Jacksonville State. Originally was recruited to Auburn, kind of ran into a crowded backfield there and left. Ended up in Jacksonville State. We gave him a 6.3 overall, so he's kind of in the mid of this tier. The best thing about him is he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Beyond that, though, I don't have a lot of good stuff to say about him because he was at a smaller school and looked pretty averaged there.
Yeah, he did. His tape, he looked okay as far as speed goes. He has one hell of a spin move, but it was also really limited. Hands looked all right, but he didn't have the elite athletic traits that you would expect from a back his size or somebody that's going to do a lot in space or anything like that. So he's not a guy that I even want to waste a roster spot on.
Yeah, outside of a team reaching for him and say, like, if he suddenly pops off in, like, the 5th round of a draft pick, then I'll be intrigued. But I expect he's a UDFA, in which case I don't care. He's just a name I'll remember.
Yeah, he'll be like, Elijah McGuire from last year, a guy that maybe he'll have to land somewhere that's actually might give him a chance.
Yeah, he was.
Maybe.
He looked kind of mediocre at an FCS level. So you need to be dominant for me to really care.
Yep.
And he couldn't even do that. There wasn't to bring it back though. There wasn't anything really bad about his tape. He just didn't blow me away. And against that quality competition, he should have.
Yep.
Right.
Darryl Williams, running back out of LSU. This is the one who was paired with Geis. 6.2 overall. He had some of the best power I saw out of this class. He just ran people over. But unfortunately, he really didn't have anything else.
Yeah. Decent power, but no real burst, no real top end speed or agility. Vision was he was a big back. And that's it.
He might be a goal line back for somebody.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, last one in this tier, and then we'll get to the real stinkers. Boston Scott out of Louisiana Tech. This was a guy who is kind of built like Cohen, where he's 5'6" and built like just a bowling ball. He comes in actually over 200 pounds at 5'6", which is unbelievable for his body type. But everything else about him was just kind of marginal on tape. He didn't show the balance, vision, receiving ability that you saw out of Cohen last year or you've seen out of Darren Sproles. So I don't think his body type works with his skill set.
I don't have anything else to say about him. You just covered it. That was my Dan impression.
Good job.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, let's get to tier 7, where there's one guy that I know Hopper likes here at the top of this tier.
Kind of.
That's Cameron Petaway.
Yeah. So in 2016, which was the tape where he looked good, he had 200 plus attempts for over 1,200 yards and a 5.9 average. He's really big for a running back, though. 6 foot, 235. Only ran a 4.74 40 as part of a terrible combine.
And that's not good gotten.
No. he runs like he's a semi-truck. Good acceleration for a back his size and above average cutting ability, but he's a former fullback who doesn't necessarily have the position, possesses speed needed to gain the edge, and some injury concerns.
And some off-field concerns.
Yeah, and some off-field concerns. So he's a guy that maybe could fall into a short yardage, blunt type of role at some point. He's got enough burst and enough vision to do that, but he's landing spot matters.
Yeah, landing spot would matter. And the other thing with him, the reason I docked him a little bit more too is just with some of his injury and off-field issues, he's going to have such a short leash in the NFL that basically if he doesn't immediately make an impact, he's done.
Yeah. That's why I think fullback, he's not going to have to deal with as much contact, so there's your injury problems, which means he's not going to see the field a lot.
What was the off-field stuff? I
don't remember the off-field stuff either.
I read about it, but I don't remember off the top
I just
of my
know
head.
he has a long list of injuries, which is what's going to hurt him the most here.
I know he has injury problems. Yeah, he's dealt with hamstrings, ankles, pretty much his legs, and you need those as a running back.
Everything. Fractured his shoulder blade. I think is what took him off his junior year, sophomore year. One of the years.
Yeah.
He just misses a lot of games.
Right.
All right. I will try to find out.
Yeah, I don't remember reading about off-field issues. So.
I definitely saw a few places where off-field was mentioned, but I didn't see exact details here. So
yeah, those are kind of important because if it's like pot, if he re-riced somebody, then there's a problem. So,
I mean,
and it depends on how long that list is. I must
have read something else because it looks like he was beloved in the locker room. He already owns his master's. So he's, fairly smart here.
Yeah.
And
he wants to be a coach when the career is over. So,
apparently, this season he was effectively kicked off the team, where he was no longer welcome to any team activities at some point. So
for what though?
It doesn't say, unfortunately.
Okay.
Well, so apparently there is stuff. I'm not sure we have full details on it though.
Oh well.
Right. I can't give an opinion when there's not details.
Yep.
All right. Jeffrey Wilson is the next guy we got up. He comes in at a 5.9 overall. I just saw a guy who had nothing that flashed for me. He was marginal back on tape. He had no real juice in his athletic profile, recruiting profile, build. There was just nothing here.
Jeff Wilson?
Yeah.
Sorry, family issue. Yeah. Oh. He once laid a block that looked more like a hockey hit, and that's all I got.
Yeah, he was.
I seriously watched him shoulder check a guy coming around the edge, and that guy just went flying like he was on ice skates, and that's it, though. That's about the only thing I saw that I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. I think the guy that was doing the editing actually got bored also, because this is the one tape I found on him was versus SMU. And halfway through it, they just cut to Cortland Sutton highlights.
I missed that one when I was watching. I forget who I was watching. I think it might have been Lasley, and then suddenly Jordan Lasley in the middle of it. Suddenly it cut to a Russian announcer,
Yes.
You found the same tape?
I know the game you're talking about. I watched a lot of his tape, but more on that later.
I remember I was watching somebody and it cut to a Spanish announcer randomly.
Did they like get really excited and scream about stuff? Because that'd be awesome.
Yes, they did.
I would love to watch highlights with Spanish announcers.
It was one of the wide receivers that if you haven't watched yet, you will. So I don't remember which one though.
Okay. Let's see. Who else do we've got? Kyle Hicks.
Fuck him.
This is a guy who's 2016 and 2017 couldn't have looked more polar opposite to me.
Okay, did his 2016 look better?
2016 did look better. 2016 looked like he showed okay burst vision and agility. 2017 was not that.
He got tackled by a ref.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
That's all I gotta say.
In 2016, it looked like he saw plays developing a bit better. 2017, not that. It looked like he couldn't find a hole at the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
I debated which joke to use there, by the way. It was either going to be a hole at the Grand Canyon or a hole that hit like if he was in Vegas. And
so you just used both.
well, I used one and then explained what the other one was going to be. And his hands were definitely more average than Savage. So he's a guy that his 2016 looked like he could have been maybe with the stash, and 2017 not so much.
That's all I watched was his 2016 tape. So
yeah,
apparently I must have missed something.
he got tackled by a ref.
That
You're
was
probably too focused on that.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking hysterical when it happened.
His combine was awful. He's 24 years old already.
Yeah, and recency matters to me in this case.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, especially when, I mean, as you said, it was a good 2016. It wasn't like it was an amazing 2016.
No, it was in comparison to 2017 is what I'm doing here. So kind of a low bar.
And he also is in that TCU spread offense. You got to show me something real special in that because that's such an easy offense for a running back to produce in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kyle Hicks. I saw somebody who had him ranked 11 over Freeman.
Well, maybe they're on drugs. We don't know.
So, first off, Freeman was outside their top 11.
That's already a problem.
And then Hicks was in it.
My brain just melted.
All right. And then the last running back.
Who was that? So I can unfollow them if I follow them.
I will tell you off the air because I don't want to slam them here on the show.
Okay, cool.
Demario Richard is the last running back we watched out of Arizona State. The only thing I have to say about him is he was so bad that even watching his tape, Hopper admitted he made Ballage look good.
So yeah. Well, first off, this is like the Kyle Hicks 2016 versus 2017. Kind of a low bar, but yeah, he made Ballage look great. And if you watch ASU games and that's why you're high on Ballage, I finally understand it because the other back you were watching is absolute trash.
Yes, in comparison, Ballage
he
looked
averaged
amazing.
3.8 yards per carry
in college.
In college for 1 year. That alone, you're not going to get fucking drafted.
Yeah.
And if he does, I don't know what the fuck they're on.
This was the name that I'm like, we're in too deep. we watched too many.
Get out.
That's consequently, every wide receiver we have left to watch too.
Yeah, it's going to get real ugly in a hurry for wide receivers.
Yep.
All right, that's all we've got for the rookie running backs. Only other thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is we finally got some Ronald Jones numbers because he ran a solo pro day.
Yeah, I heard.
And there's some controversy with his 40 numbers too.
Yep. Like
the USC Twitter page posted that he ran a 4.48 40, and then a guy who was there who timed him, which already seems fishy enough, but he's trusted enough, in the community where it's worth mentioning. He timed him at a 4.56 or 4.57. So that's a 0.9 differential, which is pretty significant.
0.09.
Yeah, sorry, 0.9
there's also
difference.
Difference though from laser timing. I don't know how USC was doing it versus sitting in the stands with a stopwatch. I mean, when you think about that reaction time, that isn't much.
No. And I mean, he still came in and apparently he was at 85% is what he was claiming, so we'll see.
Run?
I agree. He shouldn't he just should have
Like,
not
this is
run.
your calling card as speed, burst, and and this agility, and you ran on an 85% ish hamstring.
Maybe he felt pressured too. I will never.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did what's his nuts Lamar Jackson not run?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just certain things people do that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is he should have said, "Hey, I'd love to run before the draft, but I'm gonna only run when my hamstring feels good, and at the current pace, it's not gonna be ready for the draft."
They may like his speed, this may not hurt it. His 3-cone,
Yes.
which is 7.14, may tank him into potentially
Third or
round
early fourth.
3 or day 3 draft.
And even then, so much of your direction changes or based on your hamstring. I mean, this is what? Not even a week after USC's pro day where he was still too hurt to participate?
No, that was a few weeks
It was
ago.
2 weeks after.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So still, I mean, he's been dealing with that hamstring since what? November. He tweaked it at the combine which was end of March?
End of February.
End of February. He tweaked it there. Still wasn't good enough to run at USC's pro day, and then came out and said he was only 85%, ran there. Even then, how much time did he have to get back up to speed or to train and be at playing speed? I mean, there's a lot of question marks around these numbers.
Yeah.
And I just know from watching tape, it looked better than that.
Oh, yeah. I thought he looked sub 4.4 on tape.
He looked like he was going to be the fastest. One of the fastest backs.
Yeah, I thought the fastest three on tape were Barkley, Jones, and Hines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
All right. So that's just the Ronald Jones update. Probably a slight ding to him, but I'm going to hold my judgment until I see what the NFL teams do. We'll cover when we do our draft recap episodes, which we'll have 4 episodes of that. We'll talk about how some of the where guys got drafted, how early they got drafted affects our outlook on them overall.
Yep.
I think that's all we got for this episode. Shall we call it a Monday?
Let's call it a Monday. You just confused me.
Yes.
I forgot we're living in the future.
We are living in the future. Only other thing I just want to say is this is effectively our 1-year anniversary. We recorded our first episode on 4/8 of 2017. It is 4/7/2018 now. So by the time this episode posts, we'll have been doing this for a full year.
Feels like a lot longer.
It feels like a lot longer.
Feels like
It is almost 120 episodes.
I was like, Jesus Christ, this feels like 6 years ago, not a year ago.
Yeah, it does.
We've definitely hit our stride. We actually never did a beer review.
Beer review.
Whoops.
We want to get done with rookie running back so badly that we just skipped this part until now.
I blame the host.
Thanks, Mom.
I blame myself too. What'd you guys think of Blonde Jewel from 4204 Main Street?
It's a really solid jewel. It's light-bodied. Just not.
It's a good light beer.
It
if
is.
If you don't like a lot of hops, if you don't
Or a lot of extra flavors or
Yeah.
anything in your beer. This is really good for a light beer. They do make variants of this, by the way. This is what I wanted to mention. They have a coffee one, a peach one, and now a strawberry one that also adds subtle flavors to this beer, which gives it a little bit more dynamic. But it's very, very solid for just a plain blonde.
Yeah, so I'd say it compares well to a classic domestic light beer if you're looking for a comparison where it's not heavy, not super intense in any sort of flavor profile. It's pretty neutral, but it's still got good flavor for that neutral profile.
Yep.
Which is why they probably do so many variations of it, because it's easy to just add a flavor to this.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And every variation I've had of this is the first time I've actually had the irregular jewel, but I've had 3 other variants of it, and they're all delicious.
Yeah, I think I might actually personally prefer the variants because there's probably a little bit more flavor to them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just looking for it's
A good light beer?
It's freaking hot, and I want a light beer, and I want to drink something better than a
I'm
standard
trying to bring
domestic.
the warmth back to Illinois
Yeah, well,
because it seems a little confused right now.
yeah, Illinois doesn't know what it wants to do weather-wise. Whole country right now has been
It's like
weird
Katy
weather-wise.
Perry, hot and cold.
Yeah.
Let's see what you did there. All right, that is it for Rookie Running Backs Part 3. If there's anybody we didn't watch that you thought that we need to kind of go back and take a look at, tweet at us at BeerfieldFF. Let us know. We can always go ahead and try to get some additional notes. We probably won't cover them in an episode, but at the very least, we can watch and tweet out our thoughts on them, or cover them in the NFL draft if they end up going in the 7 rounds. Beyond that, though, anything else for you guys on running backs?
If anybody would like to sign up to be my new family, PM me at Hot BFF.
You're
with
looking,
2 Ps.
you're looking for replacements?
Yeah, I've been looking for replacements for like 2 weeks now.
Also, shout out to we have new merch coming. We have a new shirt color coming out, and then hats finally.
Yep, so we are going to have those available. If you want, we have 2 color shirts already. Dan is wearing the old model, which we still have a few of those. If you want the new model, we have those in red and teal. And we will be having dark gray or light gray.
Dark. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
More than likely dark gray. I was in a way to do a color review, but
Oh, sorry. I ruined everything.
It's all good. But we'll have that, and we'll have hats coming up soon too as well. So.
And then the one last merch announcement is DM us if you leave us a review on iTunes, and then every 5 reviews we get on iTunes, if you DM'd us, we'll put you in a contest for a drawing, and if you win the drawing, you will get a free shirt we'll send out to you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time on Beer Fueled Fantasy Football.
See ya. And for the record, I was not choked up when I was saying that. There was just crap in my throat because of sinuses. But
Okay.
Fucking weather.
So you're not emotional. You're just
no,
dying.
I'm not emotional. I'm just weather. Welcome to Illinois.
All right. Later.
Bye.
See ya.